episode 12. Screen Preach. Welcome back. And yeah, no, he didn't even have the decency to put pants on today. Wearing sweats. But I had a long week, a lot of writing, and I just want a more lax Sunday. You know? The way Sundays are supposed to be. Yeah. So I'm gonna do one of those. And, just... fuck. Welcome back, everything. And stuff. I mean, I'm here, aren't I? I'm here. Still. Ben's here. Ben Stone here. Guess what the fuck's up? Allison is going into labor, and you are not here. No, where are you? You are at a fucking bar mitzvah in fucking San Francisco. Can you name that movie? Trying to get the quotes for everybody, the more, more commonly known ones, I guess. People were having a hard time with those. I don't know. I think maybe today's is easier, but I'm not sure. Because most of my audience, and when I say my audience, I mean the people who actually tune in every week, are younger people, so they might not get this one either. Yeah. But we're here. What happened here? These got looser on me. Go to the... What am I doing? I don't know. That kind of worked, though. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna just keep it moving. And talk about movies today in the name of the Godfather, Odin's son, and Holy Jedi. I will give you some updates here. Let's see. I had I decided to do like a full week here of just watching and note taking on a bunch of movies. So now I have about like maybe 6 weeks worth of episodes in advance to work with, which is good because I'm deep in my next screenplay here, and I need more time for that. So I have less time for the podcast work. So I used this week here that just passed to just kind of get ahead a little bit, and the week coming up, I have to do more polishing of all the screening analyses that I did. But I also kept writing the screenplay at the same time, so it was a lot of. It was a busy week, and I'm tired, so I'm not gonna put pants on today. But we're good. Loosey goosey, baby. Loosey goosey. News. Yeah. I mean, what else? How is everybody doing? What have you been watching? You can let me know. You can always comment that. On the Apple Podcast has comment sections, and YouTube channel and Instagram. Just, let me know what you're watching, and we'll see if I think you should be watching something else. There's not really anything, so everything came to an end. I mean, Westworld, Better Call Saul, Homeland, and now I just have... I mean, I could start going and binging everything that I haven't seen. I'm just still in that Star Wars craze here. I'm in the final season now of Clone Wars, the one that came out this year. It's crazy to think that for everyone else who was watching it at the same time, that it was on, they had to wait 5 years for this final season. But in that 5 years, Rebels came out, and there were 4 seasons of that. And so they didn't have nothing, but it's 5 years in between. And already it's crazy, like, because the animation is even better. Like, it got better, and now it's like even, it's funny. Why can't they just do the Resistance show that they're doing in the same animation? Why's it gotta be a legit cartoon? I don't get that. Do the same animation as Rebels and Clone Wars. Something about it's more comforting to me. I don't know what I'm fucking saying anymore. It's I'm just I'm it's not easy trying to find work in a fucking pandemic. So there's that. And I'm just getting by like the rest of us right now. Also, my mattress or pillow, something is not agreeing with my neck because I wake up now and it's like time to get something new. I don't know. Updates, really, there's not much here. Yeah, finally in the final season, finally in the final season of Clone Wars, and it's great. But I don't know. I just don't know. Why am I saying that? That's a lot. I'm saying that a lot right now. I don't know. What don't I know? Well, there's a lot of things I don't know, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the things that I do know, because some interesting stuff happened this week in movies, and we'll get into that, because that's more exciting than watching me sit here or listening to me just say I don't know 500 times. And yeah, and I don't know if I'm still making that noise either. Am I still doing the shit? Because I don't know. I think I've gotten better with that. Real quick, rest in peace, Fred Willard. He's a known comedian, comedic actor for years and years. Just a bunch of his filmography is unbelievable, and I don't have his list of filmography in front of me, so I can't. And I'm already forgetting what he was in. But you look at his face, there it is. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy in something. Yeah, so he's rest in peace to him, and there's also that was. What else? Let's do it. We're gonna go. We're gonna get into it. News time. Sorry. Mandalorian season 2. More news. More casting. It just gets better and better. Just more hype. More hype. The thing is, here's the thing. Here's what's interesting. The Mandalorian is embodying that idea of the space western. Okay, so Star Wars has always been, it has this tone and these tropes of being a western while being science fiction, space western, right? It just always has. And the Mandalorian is the epitome of that, taking that idea and just making a whole show about that with that tone at the center of it. A lone gunslinger type vibe. Okay, all these castings are great and everything, but you can't diminish. And I don't believe they will. They have a plan. I think the creators behind this, I have more faith in than actual Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. Sorry, Kathleen Kennedy, but you guys just kind of want to be like, just everything and anything, kind of, and the creators know to kind of be more focused and specific. At least that's what it looks like when Lucasfilm puts out stuff like fucking Solo, a Star Wars story, and doesn't plan out a sequel trilogy the best way, and with no singular vision and, shit like that. But, yeah, so the creators I have faith in, like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they know what they're doing. But when you get all these castings about, like, you get, like, Ahsoka that's very Jedi, you know, prequel ish. You get that energy immediately when you think of Ahsoka. And then you have things like Boba Fett, which is fine because he still fits that gunslinger Western vibe. But he's just like it's so fan service to give you Boba Fett all of a sudden again. Um, so just be all I'm saying is let's hope it doesn't lose what made it so special in the first season. That's all. They cast Timothy Oliphant. Now you're going in the right direction with that one. I mean, this guy, Justified, okay? The lead of Justified. Total Western vibe. He fits. He totally could see him in The Mandalorian. So they cast Timothy Oliphant in Mandalorian season 2. That's awesome. Um, I can't. I have no idea who they. We don't know who he's playing, but I'm very curious. Um, so moving on. Here's a follow up. I talked about a movie that Ryan Gosling's doing from the same writer of the Martian novel. It's based on a novel by the same writer who did the Martian novel. They're adapting his sci-fi movie. I mentioned how Ryan Gosling is starring in it. They have now hired Phil Lord and Chris Miller to direct that movie. If you don't know who Phil Lord and Chris Miller are, they are exceptional filmmakers. They did the Lego movies, 21 Jump Street, and they were supposed to do Solo, a Star Wars story, believe it or not, before they had to drop out, and then Ron Howard came in. I still wonder what their vision of that movie was. I still kind of want to see that, It sucks that didn't... Whatever. They're doing this film with Ryan Gosling, and that's great. Those directors, that star, looks like a good one. If The Martian 2 was any indicator of what kind of story, what kind of similarities in story may exist here. What did I do here? Oh. Moving on. Luca Guadagnino to direct Universal's Scarface reboot. I put this up on Instagram. Don't know who Luca Guadagnino is, actually. I don't know what he's done. I should look that up. But here's the thing. I wanted to talk about it real quick because first thing I thought when I even saw this was Scarface that is not a movie you reboot. Okay? You leave that alone. You don't touch it. The history of that fucking movie, the cultural impact, you leave it alone. But then I realized it's not really a reboot as a re-envisioning or even just freshly original. It's kind of just going to be a new movie. I think that's the vibe I think I'm getting here. It's not going to be the same story or even the same character. It's just going to be a new gangster film called Scarface. Not unheard of in cinematic history. The first Scarface wasn't even the one with Al Pacino, okay? It was back in 1932. Paul Muni. So, yeah. It's just going to be an awesome new Scarface gangster film. It could be awesome. It could be very cool to see a new vision for what a story like that is. The rise and fall, the downfall of the gangster. Just one of our American classic narratives, Just get another one of those. I'm looking forward to it, actually. And so now that they've hired this director, I'm curious who they start casting here. Who's starring in this Scarface film? Um, yeah, moving on. DC Comics Sweet Tooth is now being adapted into a TV series for Netflix, and Robert Downey Jr.'s production company with his wife Susan are producing it. Awesome. I don't know Sweet Tooth. Not a story I'm familiar with, not a comic I've read, but that alone, who's attached to it, and where it'll be, Netflix, makes it interesting. Netflix has a good run here with adapting DC properties. They've done Doom Patrol and The Boys. I think those are both DC, and they've you know to have series instead of movies is always fun. I think I think for DC they've always actually been stronger in TV than in the films lately. Arrow, The Flash, and then it got a little wacky though. I will say, just too many shows. Um, but the Arrow and Flash are the two that everyone should take a chance and go watch. And there's also Titans, which I will get around to seeing. And there's Gotham, Doom Patrol, The Boys. Just a better. They're better on TV. I think these days they're getting better in movies again, as I've mentioned. But yeah, um, so that's interesting. What else we got? HBO Max sets Adventure Time special, and Seth Rogen's comedy Pickle dates. So yeah, I never mentioned the Seth Rogen thing that's coming out here. I think it's called Pickle. I'm very curious. I'm excited for what HBO Max's original series will be. They're taking a full direction. I just mentioned DC. They're doing all kinds of DC TV properties and stuff. I mean, they're doing a Green Lantern TV series. I don't, we'll see how that goes. Excuse me. Wow, I can hear when it sounds better when I'm closer to it. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Whatever. HBO Max is next week, Wednesday the 27th. If you have a subscription to HBO now, you automatically get it. So that's awesome for me and anyone else who has HBO now. Um, I'm gonna start watching Friends again. It's been a while, and they have it. Um, Netflix used to have it, and then it was all of a sudden gone, and it sucked, and it's back. And it has been a while. I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm gonna definitely just like before I go to bed at night, like just laugh. That show is great. Fresh Prince too. It's been a while since I watched that. Because cable is when I used to watch those things too. No, cable is. I don't use cable, and if you can try to get out of your cable bill, you should try to. It's so pointless. It's becoming obsolete. Um, and then there's this. This actually looks really interesting. Okay, and it's because of this reason, which I'll get into. Stephen Knight, Tom Hardy, Ridley Scott, as a team, to adapt Great Expectations as FX BBC limited series. Have you ever watched Peaky Blinders? Watch Peaky Blinders. Stephen Knight is an exceptional storyteller. have you ever seen any movie anywhere ever? There's a good chance you saw Ridley Scott's name as the director of a quarter of those movies. And Tom Hardy is just one of the biggest stars of all time right now, currently. But here's the thing, Taboo. Have you ever heard of Taboo? It was a quick one-season show that they're still hoping to do a second season of on FX about 3 years ago. Tom Hardy starred. Stephen Knight was a big part of that, and it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I want a second season of it. So anything these guys do together, and with Ridley Scott, Jesus, this will be something to take a look at. But also, Tom Hardy's no stranger to Stephen Knight at all, because he's one of the characters who recurs in Peaky Blinders, which is why, the thing about Peaky Blinders is that Cillian Murphy is amazing in that. He's the best. That character, that protagonist, I can't, you follow his story, and it's like, I don't need anything else. I don't need to know what anyone else is doing. But then they throw Tom Hardy's character, Alfie, at you every now and then, and it's just just a joy to have him on screen. That. So Great Expectations. Something to keep your eye on. I know I will be. And I'll keep you updated on it. And then the Mandalorian shit just kept happening, because it's soon. It's soon, that the second season of that. Which also is I'm curious about all these casting news and stuff. So here's the thing. It said this week they mentioned this. They said that Mandalorian Season 2 will arrive on time, promises Disney CEO. Okay? So on time is October, I think, is when they said. They also said they're able to be on time because filming is done. So what's with all the casting? And how are how can the filming be done and there's still casting going on? Unless they're voicing. I don't know. Maybe the filming isn't done. Maybe they do have some weeks left, but they think they'll be able to start up in time, and because the other big casting this week for Mandalorian Season 2 was Katie Sackhoff joins the cast as her Clone Wars character, Bo-Katan. She is a Mandalorian from the Clone Wars, and the voice actress is playing the live actress of her in The Mandalorian Season 2. So more just hype. Again, this works because she's a Mandalorian. So it's not like, what I was saying before, getting too fancy with it. It still fits. And I loved her character in Clone Wars. I know she shows up again where I am now in Clone Wars, just because I've seen some photos of episodes from this season. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff, and I'm just curious how they're gonna. If filming is done, I'm curious about how this all works. The ordering of this is a little odd. I guess maybe it's not done. It can't be done. If they're still casting these people. And then also I mentioned, so the big news last week was that Boba Fett is returning. But I mentioned, the character who plays Boba Fett is also the character who plays the clones in the live action movies. So is it possible he could also play a clone? Like an ex-clone? And the first person who comes to my mind is Captain Rex, of course. Now, I don't know Captain Rex's fate, because I still have about 10 episodes left of the Clone Wars, so I don't know his fate, so maybe not. But if he's alive at all in any sense, when this season here ends for me of Clone Wars, he could show up too. The actor Tamura Morrison, he could play both characters in The Mandalorian. It's all just more theorizing and hype that I love to get into. Then we have this American Horror Story spin-off. American Horror Stories, plural, is in the works. What is the difference? I don't I'm still interested in this. I like American Horror Story sometimes. Some seasons are not. But here's my idea for what it could be. American Horror Stories. What if every episode in a season is different? Every season is different. What if every episode in a season is different? That's what it could be. That's what it could mean. Changing it from story to stories. Just a theory, an idea. And Dave, Little Dickie's comedy on FX, renewed for second season. Awesome. Of course, I loved the first season. Got to have a second. It also, Dave becomes the highest ranked comedy series ever for FX networks. That's incredible. Congratulations to Lil Dicky for that. I mean, even more so than Atlanta. That's great. So season 2 of that, can't wait. Oh yeah, also I put this on Instagram, and this goes without saying. I mean, rest in peace to Jerry Stiller. Ben Stiller's father, Frank Costanza from Seinfeld, comedian in a bunch of movies. Fucking Frank and his wife. Why am I blanking on his wife's name? Ben Stiller's mother. They had a sitcom back in the day, classic. It's just a big. That's a big loss. It's like So rest in peace, obviously. Is that it? That is it, isn't it? Good, we can move into... here's one more thing here. Lord of the Rings and Avatar could soon resume filming in New Zealand. So just some good news, like some positive... just some positivity. Things moving forward. Avatar's... all the sequels together cost $1 billion. Doesn't surprise me. That just tells you how big of Avengers Infinity War and Endgame was. Those two movies together cost $1 billion. So if the Avatar sequels together cost $1 billion, and there's 4 of them, I mean, that's probably not even the right number. I probably misread that. The second one probably cost $1 billion. Together, they probably cost $5 billion for all fucking no. I don't know. That's a little excessive. That's not what it is. Yeah, that was good. That's good. Some good updates. So I'm going to talk about Extraction today. I mentioned it weeks ago when the first trailer dropped, and then I forgot about it because I wasn't watching stuff on Netflix, and then I realized, oh shit, there's new shit coming out on Netflix all the time. Let's do Extraction. So we're going to do Extraction. The most impactful quote of this movie is the one that Ovi says, obviously. You don't drown by falling in the river, but by staying submerged in it. That's the most resonant line, because it's also during the most crucial plot point in the film. For a movie that's nothing more than your average action movie, Extraction manages to feel like a movie we've simply just needed to have all this time. It was an enjoyable action movie. It gave rise to a new action hero character in Chris Hemsworth. Like, I could see it being made, again and again. They could do sequels. I think there's a sequel already in the works. It's just that kind of vibe. The action hero. Modern day action hero. A new possible franchise here. So, in terms of story and script, the big thing in this film is the threat to innocence. Okay? It's thrown around constantly. It's the key thing that embodies the film thematically. We care and root for any form of justice from the start in this movie because kids are being consumed by an evil. All right? Kids represent innocence as a whole. And from the second we see the sheer brutality and violence that threatens them in this world, we root for any hero to arise that can stop it. That hero, of course, is Tyler Rake, played by Chris Hemsworth, in a role that's kind of new for him, but not really. A different kind of sad, actually, and tragic figure. We saw what he's capable of with Thor, how his arc shifted dramatically. His performance as Thor, the way it grew, the way it progressed, it just shows even more here with his ability to play this tragic figure. So I thought that was really great. Tyler acts as a symbol of protectiveness and courage. We quickly see this as he jumps off a ridiculous cliff when we first meet him in the opening scene with him. But we also immediately see his character flaw, his broken trait, if you will. His courage stems from personal damage he suffered. Therefore, it's more like a dangerous recklessness than courage. He who welcomes death will gladly face it. Ultimately, we follow a protagonist who wants to die. The main character's goal is to kill himself. It's why he accepts every mission that comes his way. He drinks and uses because it's a way of both forgetting his past the best he can and punishing himself for what he blames himself for. He is a man who doesn't believe he deserves to be happy because of what he's done. We don't know what it is that he's done, until later in the film, but we all immediately get a sense of his guilt over something. Which brings us to his mission. This last job, is what brings about a story, a journey for a man who believes the only thing left for him to do is die. But he realizes slowly throughout the film what his purpose all of a sudden becomes. He is a man with no purpose at the start, and discovers that if he is meant to die, then it is going to be in the service of true justice. It's both sad and poetic to think that this last job is, in a way, the ultimate fight for his son. We learn that it's his son that is the cause of his tragedy, his tragic state. He failed his son, but this job, fighting for this boy, Ovi, and being something like a father to him, as well as fighting against the evil that consumes all of these kids as a whole, is him making things right. This was always going to be the job that gets him to where he wants to be. For Tyler, it's just as much about killing the bad man in himself, who brings pain and destruction, as it is about doing this job. But he doesn't even realize he's changing throughout this journey, which I really liked. He doesn't know, he doesn't even realize that he's doing the right thing until it's really pointed out to him by Ovi. Yeah, so his goal is to die. Has to get justice. and punishment. He believes he should be punished, believes it's what he deserves, and that purpose takes form by dying honorably. So he wants to die, but it needs to be honorably. That's the purpose that he finds. So he dies honorably in service of Ovi. I always forget to say spoilers. But at this point, you should know. You shouldn't watch or listen after the news if you haven't watched the movie. He dies honorably in service of Ovi, a boy as innocent as his own son was. That's the parallel. So Tyler's memory of his son is hazy. Every time we see it, we don't even know what exactly he's seen. We're not even aware that it's his son necessarily for most until we see at the end. Well, no, because he does mention it halfway through, so we do know, but not for at least half the movie. We don't know what that memory is. But it's hazy too because it's supposed to represent him forgetting, trying to forget. It's too painful for him, but he also thinks he doesn't deserve the memory. You know, he doesn't think he deserves to have that memory. The memory is finally shown clearly and in full at the end when he has earned the right, you see, to have the memory again, to embrace it. When he has earned a place with his son and can die and go be with him, then we see the memory in full. When, you know, he did something honorable and he gets that memory back. He makes things right. So as always, I like to talk about structure and how it plays into this film. I usually like when a film opens with an ending scene and then goes backwards because I just always liked that structure ever since I saw Goodfellas or whatever, Pulp. You know, I like non-linear shit. But it has to be done effectively, obviously. You don't just do that stuff for the sake of doing it. It's effective here because also in that scene is the first time we get introduced to his hazy memory of his son. But not... And when we return to that ending scene, it plays all the way through it, and it's the one time we actually see it clearly and in full. So the first time we see it is also the last time we see it. You see? If that makes sense, what I just said. Did that even make sense, what I just said? Yeah, so it worked here. It was effective. Yeah, but it all comes full circle because it shows Tyler at the moment he was moving towards all along. It's him, it's him realizing that it's purposeful for him to die, even though we would naturally want a hero like him to live. Because the character we come to meet and know in the beginning is not the same guy that we have at the end. So it's like, yeah, look at this sad sack, let him die. But by the end, it's like, well, now we don't want him to die. He's a hero. When he had purpose and honor returned to him, it just made sense that it would go the way it does. So that opening also introduces us to the landscape and where he'll be fighting. It's crazy too that it's only 2 days too. Like they show that opening and then it goes 2 days earlier. It's like it's all just in 2 days. Like a lot of shit hits the fan, and that's. I mean, that's what this movie. It's nonstop. Like there's no breaks. It's just chaos, action. So that's why when we do get a moment of calm and, like we get to take a break, it's the most impactful moment too, which I'll get into. So that's, I mean, it was structured pretty fucking well. Although sometimes I wasn't sure about some moments. But then again, it's important to keep in mind that it doesn't really matter. I talk about these specific plot points all the time, but structure is not set in stone. It's a lucid thing when writing. You can structure how you want. The thing is, your structure has to be effective. It has to work. So when I say that it doesn't work, I'm not saying that you can't do it that way. I'm saying it doesn't work. It's fine. Here it worked. This worked. So the inciting incident or inciting action was when Ovi is taken, obviously, and then there's a key moment with Tyler, and he gets his mission. So I don't really. It's either the inciting incident. Yeah, so that works. Yeah, so Tyler's mission is the key moment or key incident. We have a true start to the film at the end of Act 1, which sends it moving forward chaotically, just all nonstop. And that's the double cross moment. Saju's plan to take out Tyler's team so as not to pay them. It's around the end of Act 1. That's the true start of this film, because from then on it's simple. You have a mission, they're going to pay you for, you get in, you get him out. I mean, he would have already been out of there. But Saju had his own agenda. There's a double cross, turns everything into a fucking shit show. That's the true start of this film. And then so then there's also Gasper's betrayal too. Now I took that as being the reversal because it's a character point for Tyler. And here's what I mean. Gasper is very much, in many ways, a man Tyler could have become, if not for the fact that his son died. So, this is what the character of Gasper represents. So Tyler's son's death is a moment of formation for his character. It changed him. But really, Gasper's betrayal is more like an inciting moment for the unraveling into the final act. So really what I think the reversal is like I said, it's that moment of one moment of calm that we get before more storm. So it's all just action, 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 and then it's just rapidly moving. No breaks. We finally get this one break, and it's a huge plot point for the characters and their arcs. All things start to turn with the posed decision Tyler has to make. So he's posed with it immediately after the double cross, leave the kid. And then it turns into kill the kid with Gasper. And his decision to fight for Ovi marks the turning point for his character when he fights Gasper. But I think that the actual reversal is that quiet and touching moment between Tyler and Ovi, because it is the one calm, restful break we get from the action. And it's them realizing their mistakes, realizing what they have in common, having a touching, almost father-son moment together. That's got to be the reversal. It's also the reversal because there has to be an unraveling, and after that there definitely is, because Gasper's betrayal just leads to a bunch of shit. They're in all of a sudden in a fucking hyperdrive, in a fucking just constant shit show. But that moment is very important. It's a great fucking scene. It's Ovi seeing the real Tyler for the first time, who can't even realize he's changed. Like I mentioned, he doesn't even realize. He doesn't believe he's brave. He said, I'm not brave. But Ovi has to make him see he has changed. So their heart-to-heart is, we get a reflection of Tyler's moment of formation. So he finally tells us the time he failed his son, lost his son, It's also a good versus bad moment because we come right off of Azir, our antagonist of the film, our villain of the film, mentoring Farhad, stoking the evil that consumes him, versus Tyler and Ovi both recognizing the good in themselves, recognizing that they're not bad. You know, Ovi says, "I'm not realizing that he's not his father. You know, you could consider Ovi killing Gasper as a down and out moment, but I didn't really see it that way. And then there's a crisis moment, which is the return to the opening. So when we get to the end again, there's a crisis moment. He's shot by the sniper. And then the climactic moment of the climax, because that all is the climax, is Farhad killing Tyler and Ovi and Tyler's final moment together. A lot of symbolic stuff. There was a lot of good symbolism in this movie for an action movie too. But I want to talk about direction. I think the only thing I need to mention here, as I've mentioned before, this is a Russo Brothers production. It's your typical action movie. So there wasn't like a whole lot of visually, you know, surprising things that I picked up on, but the camera work when filming all these action sequences and the stunts and the choreography, I don't have to tell you how great it is. It's that same feel as a Captain America movie with the fighting, and it's, you know, it has that Marvel feel to it, even, you know, in the fight sequences. And just all around, they did a really good job filming those sequences, those scenes. Performances, obviously. Chris Hemsworth, fantastic. I like how they are kind of setting him up here for some kind of new franchise. Like I said, this could be a new recurring role for Chris Hemsworth. I wasn't sure at first about that ambiguous ending, but then I realized it's because of what I'm saying here with the sequels. They're setting it up for more story. It's like how Jason Bourne always fucking lives, or fucking Ethan Hunt, you know? Same shit. I also want to mention how the chemistry between David Harbour and Chris Hemsworth made me want to see Harbour's Red Guardian and in Black Widow even more, and see if he'll one day even have a confrontation with Hemsworth's God of Thunder. Because seriously, the two MCU stars here, even though Harbour is a rookie, we haven't even seen him in Black Widow yet, but he's also an MCU star now. Yeah, we'll see him later this year. We would have already seen him, remember, May 1st. We would have already seen him. Sucks. The breakout role and performance was the kid who played Ovi. But, yeah, I don't think I've seen him anywhere else. This must be new. This must be one of his first roles. And he did a really good job. We'll probably see him in future. Just don't. You might even see him pop up in a Marvel movie. The big thing to mention are the stunts, obviously. Choreography, which I mentioned from the second I saw the trailer, and I brought it up then. That Marvel feels there. At times it felt like it could be a Marvel film from another reality. I swear, which was great. That like a new mercenary type hero, like fucking Black Widow or something. The fight scenes definitely had that Captain America feel. My overall, yeah. So my overall take on this film was that it's about kids. It manages to be about kids because it all comes back to the kids. Themes of fatherhood, protectiveness, growth, sacrifice. More specifically, sacrifice in the service of innocence. So the good guys do what they do either for their sons or for righteousness. So Saju, I mean, he's doing what he's doing in order to protect his son too. We empathize with why he betrayed Rake's team and why he's doing what he's doing. Um, Tyler dismisses money for justice at a certain point in the film. And even Ovi's father, being a fucking sociopathic criminal, is doing what he's doing in order to get his son back. He's threatening Saju to get his son back. So it's all about that. It all comes back to the kids. I think there was an overall goodness that Ovi could sense and relate to in Tyler, because I found it interesting that he would trust Tyler over Saju. There's moments where he could have went with Saju. Not really, I guess, because Tyler kept fucking kicking his ass. But I mean, they're both trying to protect him, and I think Ovi can see that, but something makes him gravitate more towards Tyler. And maybe it's because Saju is still the man who works for his father, a criminal. So Ovi understanding that he's not like his father makes him maybe gravitate more towards Tyler and this out of nowhere hero figure that he just sees trying to save him. So that was a cool touch. It's very important for the good guys in this film to not be the evil they are fighting. So Tyler, for instance, won't kill kids. So there's moments where he comes up against kids. And that's important too, because it makes him that much more it makes him much more an opposite of our villain in this film. The villain, Azir, he is constantly killing kids in this movie. I mean, it's ridiculous. This idea of greed versus honor comes into play. And although Tyler plays like he's greedy pretty well in the beginning, he can't pretend to be something he's not. But even characters like Saju, who gets an honorable death, redeeming perhaps past things he's done, working as and for a criminal, I mean. And then there's also Nick's decision at the end to kill Azir in the bathroom, because it's about being better, about not being Azir, but fighting and destroying him and the evil he represents. So there's a clear good versus evil. Nick kills Azir, and it happens at the same time, too, that Ovi supposedly sees Tyler in that ambiguous closing moment of the film, which at first I didn't like, but then kind of liked more that I think about it. Wasn't sure how I felt about it, but think about it like this, okay? I liked it more when you look at the parallel of the water. So Tyler jumping off the cliff in the beginning and floating to the bottom is connected to his supposed death, where he falls off the bridge and floats to the bottom in that same shot. Then that shot is directly, again, we see it directly paralleled with Ovi jumping into the pool and floating to the bottom. It's the same shot. And when he's at the bottom, he's doing the same, thing that Tyler was doing in the beginning when he jumped off the cliff. Could it represent balance? That's what I saw it as. Could it represent balance being restored? So think of it like this. At the same time Azir is being killed, Ovi pops out of the water to see a hazy figure standing outside the pool. Did Tyler survive? It's like the evil is killed, it allows the good to rise again. Just kind of like maybe a balance thing. And it's interesting, too, that Tyler won't kill kids, because naturally it would end up being one of those kids that delivers the finishing shot to him. Another poetic thing here. That all stems from this villain we get. I was iffy about him at first. Yes, he represents the evil. The evil clearly consumed him as a kid, and now he continues to stoke that flame in the kids of this newer generation. But also, he's a pretty one-dimensional villain. There's no empathy there. We don't get any backstory. He's just pure. He comes off as pure evil, and it's just a boring villain. We hate him immediately as he shows us the violence that consumes by inflicting unbelievable. I couldn't believe some of the scenes in this movie sometimes with the fucking brutality and violence done to these kids. It's insane. Ovi's friend, right off the bat in the beginning, shot in the fucking. It was ridiculous. Shot in the head. Throwing kids off fucking rooftops. It's fucked up. It was fucked up scenes, is what it was. You want it, so it actually works because of how bad it is. He's so bad, this guy. It just stokes more in us wanting that hero figure to come along. And just fucking, it makes all the brutality that Tyler does to the bad guys satisfying. Because there's some brutal moments when he's kicking ass. You're meant to hate Azir. You know? I personally think it's better to have an antagonist, an antagonist over a straight villain. You know, there's a difference. So, like, if we're talking, let's make a Marvel connection or a Star Wars, Darth Vader, Thanos, Vulture, they have motives that make them more interesting. Sometimes we even empathize or relate. That's just more interesting. An antagonist is better than a villain. But in this movie, it's still okay because of, I guess. Still, you could have made it. It still probably could have been more interesting if he had like a backstory, and I don't know. I guess it's poetic. Azir creates Farhad. He allows for the evil to consume Farhad, right? Farhad ends up being the one who kills Tyler. And for Tyler, it's the idea of an innocence striking back at him, too, so it's also symbolic. You could look at it as that innocence of his son striking back and being the one to kill him, because Farhad's still, like, being molded as a person. I don't know. There's just a lot. It's actually a pretty thought-provoking action movie, all things considered. So it was just, I don't know. It was a fun and enjoyable movie. It's not some fucking masterpiece or anything. But it wasn't bad. Like, easily it's actually it's pretty popular right now too. I think it's like the most viewed movie right now. There's no theaters and shit, so yeah, nothing coming out and any other. Streaming's gonna obviously have the top movies, and this one makes sense with Chris Hemsworth, Russo Brothers, Marvel alum. It's got all the pieces there. It's a good. Actually, and I liked it more the second time too that I watched it, so it might age well. It still feels familiar, obviously, but I give it a 7.8. It's good. Yeah, alright, good. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. So yeah, I have all these episodes ready to go in advance. So Capone did come out in full for me. I bought it because I want Tom Hardy playing Al Capone. I'm gonna buy it. All right. That's what I will talk about next week. But yeah, I got some fun episodes coming up. Some older stuff after Capone, but just stuff that's fun and I'd like to talk about. Let's do our quote of the week. This week's genre is action. And like I said, I don't know. Maybe you won't know this one, but it's literally a one-liner. And if you can tell me what it's from, that's great. It is. Now I know what a TV dinner feels like. Name that movie. Tell me which action movie. It's a very popular action movie. It's a classic. It's also a oh fuck, that's too big a hint, isn't it? It's a Christmas movie too. Okay, you better get that now. Let's finish it up here. There we go. As usual, man, I am your host, Ben Morganti. I'm thinking about doing something soon. Getting, like, actors together, maybe. And doing readings of my screenplays in a new podcast. Call it Audio Screen. Sound effects, music. Audio drama. I'm thinking about it. Actors, come on by. Let's do some readings and stuff. It'd be fun. Let's do some acting out of a fucking movie that's not even out. You know? Good way to promote. Someone will be like, this was good. This is like an audiobook but for a screenplay. Now can we adapt it? Can we turn it into a movie? Well, of course we can. It's already in the format it's supposed to be in. Let's just hand it on over to a producer and let's get this thing going. It's honestly a really cool idea. You can follow the show, Screen Preach. Follow me personally at the Ben Morganti. Check out my website, please. It's where you can read those scripts. You know, stop being a fucking lazy 21st century, person who doesn't read. And read, you know? Nobody fucking reads anymore. I love when people read. If you read, you're just cooler for it. Yeah. Check out my brother's channel too on YouTube, J&J Media. I don't know if he put anything up yet, but I'm curious. Yeah, you can also follow me personally on Twitter at the Ben Morganti. You can find this Apple Podcasts and YouTube, Morganti Studios, or just type it in Screen Preach. If you really want to support the show, become a patron at Patreon. And as always, what am I going to say? Have a cinematic week.